Hi guys, are you wanting to start a garden or add more growing space to what you've already got? In this video, we're going to talk about why establishing garden infrastructure in the fall is a fabulous idea and why not waiting until spring brings so many advantages. I'd like to welcome you to my backyard Kentucky homestead. My name is Kim, and let's get started. Isn't it just gorgeous, baby? Gorgeous, I said gorgeous. Caryopteris is an amazing bush. And it blooms in the fall. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's so many beautiful things. I love flowers. So the first thing, are you going to use raised beds or are you going to go in ground? If you're going to do raised beds and they're new, you're going to want to go ahead and fill them. And depending on how deep they are, you want to have at least 12 inches of really good nutrient-dense soil on top. I have 17-inch beds, which gives me several inches below that I can fill with less nutrient-dense materials that don't cost as much. So I will put tree limbs on the bottom. I will put leaves and other garden debris that is not diseased and does not have weed seeds. So that works really good. It will decompose over time, so your soil level will drop. But that's okay because you're going to want to each year, fall and probably spring, add some new compost to that. You can also in the fall add things on the top like leaves, manure, and other garden debris as you're cleaning up your garden from year to year. As long as it's not diseased or have weed seeds in it, you can go ahead and layer that on top, and then over the winter it will break down and feed the soil. It will help improve the soil structure as well as really build that microbiome, that network of little microorganisms and the worms below the soil that really make it healthy and rich. For an in-ground, you can go ahead and add the in-ground soil or other compost. Compost is great. Manure is great. You do want to be careful with manure. Fall is a great time to add it because you won't be using the garden beds immediately. But you need to be really careful in the spring if you're using a manure because some of those are hot composted, which means the temperature rises in order to break that down, and it'll totally cook your plants. So you can add that in the fall, not so much in the spring. There are some, like I think rabbit is a cold compost. I'll do a Google search and add on the screen the cold compost versus the hot compost. But you do want to be careful of when you're adding that and what type you're adding. And you also do not want to use any kind of dog or cat waste or human waste. The ability for the bacteria to infect your food and then yourself is too high with those. It's just too close. So cow, horse, sheep, goat, rabbit, chicken are good to use. Dog, cat, people, don't use those. Because you will likely get sick from using those just because the bacterial load in those is too close and just too easily to transmit to humans. But by adding the compost, by adding the manure, by adding even some of the organic fertilizers, I would be careful and limit how much you use of that. But they do take time to break down and they also build a soil. Now, I am not opposed in the growing months to using something like Miracle-Gro. I will once in a while use it to give a little boost to my plants, but it doesn't build the soil health. It doesn't build the soil structure the way organic fertilizers do. It will immediately provide nutrients to the plants, but it can also add some salt to the dirt, which could cause some of the nutrients to bind up and not be accessible. So it's kind of like a give and take. Overuse of it can actually cause your soil to become less healthy and not structured as well. Where organic has a lot more of those natural elements that break down and actually build up the soil structure. So definitely, and if I just went to Walmart this week and I found they had the Hollytone, which I do recommend Hollytone. I use it throughout my entire garden. It has a little bit of soil acidifier in it, but most garden plants actually like a neutral to slightly acidic soil, so 6.5 to 7. So using the Hollytone is actually really, really good if you've got a neutral type soil. But they had it for $6. I got it for 75 cents a pound. I was excited. So that's awesome. So as I'm cleaning up the beds this fall, I will go ahead and amend those so that they have more compost. And then I don't get manure. I just buy the compost manure hummus mix from Lowe's. Add that onto that, add leaves. We've been collecting our grass clippings. Also, we'll be adding the leaves to that and just chopping them up really fine, and then they'll break down faster. So then we can just turn that into the soil come spring. Something else that you can do to add a lot of nutrient to your beds over the winter is it's a little late now, but next fall, add a cover crop to the bed, especially when it is winter killed. And then you can just turn that into the soil, and it will break down and add nutrients and structure to the soil as well. So that's the first one. So the second reason that you want to go ahead and get your garden infrastructure set up in the fall is because for a lot of people, it's cooler. We are only a few days away from fall, and it has jumped back up into the 90s with higher humidity. So it's feeling like summer, but it will cool down eventually. And doing the heavy manual labor that can be involved with setting up new garden beds, be they in ground where you have to till, even though dig, you're transporting some type of soil, compost, or manure. So doing all of that heavier manual labor is much more ideal. It's easier on your body, it's easier on, you can get a whole lot more done when it's cool. So number two is that it's going to be cooler eventually. The third reason to go ahead and get your garden infrastructure set up in the fall is just because come spring, you're going to have a whole lot less to do. You can just get ready to plant right away if you want. Like I said, I generally will add a little bit more compost to the beds, but it's not required. Doing a soil test gives you a really good idea of what nutrients you may want to do. But overall, if you get stuff set up now, you can just hit the ground running in the spring, and it makes it so much easier. Another really good thing with getting the garden established in the fall is that if you're planting perennials like asparagus or strawberries, any of your berry bushes or trees, if you haven't seen that video, check it out on the 7 things that you can plant in the fall so that you can hopefully harvest next year, but it'll give you a huge jump start. Planting strawberries and berry bushes and trees in the fall is kind of like having an entire growing season, because the roots will continue to develop and really set in over the winter until the ground freezes solid. So generally here we don't freeze completely. This past year we did, and we may this year because we're expecting another cold spring, but that allows you months of time when you're not having to do that much in the garden for those plants to really develop a good root structure. And with healthy soil, nutrient dense soil, and a really good root structure, you've got a lot better chance of having really healthy plants that can fend off pest and disease pressure next year. So it's a great time, and you also get to see butterflies. It's awesome. I love it. But it also gives you a really good chance too to see your infrastructure and kind of get a head start idea of where you're wanting to plant things. I need to move my potatoes, so I'm going to be choosing that this year. I'm not going to be amending that bed with soil acidifier, so it has a little lower soil acidity, which helps to fend off the scab. As far as perennials, it's also great for plants, for any of your regular bushes, flowering bushes, or any of the perennial flowers like rudbeckia, echinacea, just lilacs, any of that stuff. If you get it planted in the fall before it gets really, really cold, it has a really good opportunity to root in, and it'll be healthy and ready to go and bloom next year. It's really, really wonderful. I did that the last 2 years, and it has worked beautifully well. And again, it's cooler, so there's a whole lot less stress on the plant, you, and just everybody's happier and feels better. The fourth reason to go ahead and start in the fall instead of the spring is because of weed and pest pressure. It's going to decrease. You're going to be able to suppress the weeds. If you're putting in raised beds, go ahead and put cardboard down below those to block those weeds. It will help there because it's not going to be aggressively growing throughout the winter months. So it'll have a better opportunity, a better chance of killing that off, unless you have kudzu, Bermuda grass, creeping Charlie. What was the other one I found? I don't know. I've got wild violets. It's insane. I've actually stopped using, or going to stop using, cardboard in my flower beds because I've got so many weeds, vining weeds that grow through that. It's just, cardboard actually makes it more difficult to pull those out. So that's my problem. Anyway, but for a regular garden, putting a good area of cardboard down, put the raised bed on top of that. You could also use some type of black tarp type material to eradicate the weeds, so that come next year you don't have pressure from that. There's also going to be, well, we are dying back. As you can see, we're getting quite a bit of dieback in the garden, but it is past the middle of September, we're almost to fall. So it's expected that it's going to be like that, but it's still, I mean, I think it's doing well. But we do have less pest pressure now than we had, and also less disease pressure overall, especially for new plants like that you're trying to establish for perennials, flowers, bushes, trees, fruiting bushes, etc. So a lot less disease pressure, a lot less pest pressure, and you have a better chance of killing off the weeds, which I need to spend some time doing that this weekend because I've got, let me show you. I got some weeds going on, baby. Oops. All right. So that's one of the projects that we're going to work on. I'm just, again, trying to do so many different things at once, and working full time makes it really hard to get all of it done. But we're going to get it. All you got to do is tackle what you can do, one step at a time, and as long as you're making progress, then that's all that counts. At least I'm telling myself that. It's been crazy. All right, so we need one. That was a hummingbird. Oh, it's like two of them. Oh, wow. If you want to have hummingbirds in your yard, plant the Mexican sunflower. It's also called torch sunflower. They absolutely love it. I've seen them fight over it. I have some butterfly weed and some zinnias in the garden, which the butterflies are just going mad over. I've had all kinds of butterflies. Echinacea, I've had a lot of the yellow finch landing on the echinacea and the rudbeckia and pulling the seeds out of those. So it's been so wonderful. Anyway, on to number 5. So the 5th one is going to be actually several different practical advantages to planting in the fall versus the spring. One, it gives you a really good time to reassess your garden. How has it grown this year if you have one already? What has worked? What hasn't worked? Where do you need to move things and adjust your planting for next year? Especially as we start cleaning some of the stuff off, which, look at these peppers. It says jalapeno, jalapenos, poblanos, and Anaheim chilies, and they're just amazing, absolutely amazing. Anyway, they eventually will get frost killed, but I'm going to take some of them inside. I'm actually going to take a few, I think, to my office at work. I've got a really big window, and I'm going to try to get a couple of these that are doing really well and try to overwinter those. I had one inside last year that worked, but I think I'm going to try the office because I think it'd be better. Anyway, back to the practical nature. You're able to assess this situation where I have with my peppers on one side, the tomatoes in a single row on the other side, has worked very well overall. The peppers honestly got 10 times bigger than I expected. So they're in 17-inch beds, and a lot of them are between 4 and 5 feet tall. In the beds themselves, some of them are as tall as I am, and I'm 5'10". So these peppers got massive. But overall, the idea of it worked really, really well. Previous 2 years, I had my tomatoes 2 rows in each bed, and this bed behind, or the row behind it, got shaded out too much. This year, they got a whole lot more sun because the peppers, I mean, didn't catch up till recently. But it's provided a really good, you know, it's worked really well. I like this. I'm going to repeat this. Now there's some other areas where some of the things I did didn't work out as well. I'm going to change those. I'm going to give the pumpkins some more space, plant those in different areas. I have to move my potatoes to different beds because I ended up with scab in one of the beds. I can't use that for 3 or 4 years for potatoes. I do actually have potatoes that I missed in 2 beds that have actually resprouted. So I'm hoping to get some potatoes come Thanksgiving, maybe. So we'll see. And I'm also going to be swapping out my grow bags for those round containers. You may have seen that in an earlier video. They're a 2-foot round raised bed. I'm going to put some in my blueberries in them, and I'm also going to put some here in the center of the garden. So having it cleared out once the garden, and again, it's going to depend on how big your garden is, but when you're able to see the bare bones infrastructure of what you have, you're able to more readily plan what you want to do for next year. You can also look back now, because it's very fresh in your mind, take notes about what worked, what didn't work, where things are, where they should go for next year. So it gives you a really good opportunity to really plan for next year. And probably my favorite practical benefit of the fall is that all of the garden centers usually start clearancing out their materials. I've already found a whole bunch of pots at Home Depot that I got for a song. Meyer locally is already cleared out. I've got some pots and things from there. I just got a few bags of the holly tone from Walmart, because they're clearancing their stuff out. It was an 8-pound bag for $6. Now I use holly tone. I may have already said this, and apologies if it's duplicative, but I use holly tone throughout the garden. I don't care. You don't need to use garden tone and tree tone and this tone and that tone. Holly tone is perfect for your entire garden. So I got some bags for $6, which is 75 cents a pound. Cheapest I've ever seen is getting the 27-pound bags for $25 at Lowe's, which is about 88 to 95 cents a pound. So that was a pretty good deal. So check out the garden centers for clearance plants, clearance infrastructure. Some of the trellises I've got for like cucumber trellises, shepherd's hooks, $6, usually $30, $6. The butterfly, which I was just in front of, the butterfly trellis, I got that for $15. It was $30 to start with. So you can get some really, really good deals on infrastructure, on plants, on nutrients, amendments, as well as 2 years ago, I got some really, really good deals. I don't know if the packaging was being changed or what, but they had some organic raised bed soil for like $5 for a 5 cubic foot. So, and then they went down to $2. It was a really, really great deal. So check out your garden centers. You may have to stop by there once in a while, frequently. Not go there too much, but it's really fun. Just buy it when it's cheap and it fits your budget. Don't go overboard. You'll regret that. Trust me. Anyway, so in essence, just to sum it up, setting up your garden in the fall gives you a really good opportunity to get a really solid base for next year. You get nutrient-dense soil. You can work when it's cooler. You can plant perennials and other items that need more time to really establish. And you can better plan what you're doing, and you can do it when it's cool and you're not sweating your butt off, because it gets pretty hot. Anyway, so I want to thank you for joining me. If you're interested in more gardening content, check this video out. And until the next time, I wish you happy gardening. Have a wonderful day, and bye.